Before we start, please support the channel by liking and leaving a comment. Thanks so much. Haunted hotel stay. Okay, before I tell this story, let me say this. I had no idea this hotel was haunted. I knew nothing of its reputation nor of anything torrid or horrible having taken place there. In my lifetime, I have worked for several hotels divided by motel chains and timeshare resorts. I have seen just about anything and everything you could imagine. From strangers bonding after being caught in the crossfire of a deranged gunman, to witnessing a suicide jumper, to helping couples happily celebrate weddings, anniversaries, and other special occasions. I have also experienced things of the strange variety, some explainable and some no so much. This one is the latter. I also don't scare easily. I like to travel, and a few years back I decided to take a trip to the Blue Ridge Mountains. I didn't really plan out much other than where I wanted to stop along the way. This trip was a solo camping trip. I've done it before. No biggie. I'm well armed when I travel, so if anything were to jump out at me in the dark, well, it would probably be shot on sight. I made reservations at various campsites along the way, making sure I had nightly accommodations for a site not too far from the main road, just in case I needed to get out quickly. I left after work on a Friday and had been traveling about 5 hours and was just on the outskirts of Bluefield, WV. I decided to get a hotel room for the night, and after riding around for about 20 minutes, I came across one of those old mom-and-pop motels. It had 20 rooms, all with outside entrances, but it was clean on the outside and the parking lot well lit. There was a man, 40-ish, working the desk, and he seemed a bit surprised to see someone at that time of the night. He was average size, attractive, and very polite. He told me the hotel was built by his grandfather in the 60s during the free love era, so the rooms were still decorated in the 60s style. He said he took over operations a couple years back and that he was a former highway patrol officer that was injured on duty, so that's why he was running the motel. He put me in room #7, one that was far enough away from the ice and vending machines, but situated where I could see the front desk and he could keep an eye out on my car during the night. I never got any creeper vibes from him, so I took the room. The rate was cheap for a double, so I checked in, got my key, and went on to my room. There were 5 other cars in the lot, and I assumed one belonged to the owner, so that would be 4 other guests. Rooms 4 and 10 each had a car at the door, which made them spaced out perfectly for comfort. I grabbed my bag and went in, and it was just as he described. 1,960 seconds. I didn't expect the room to be so clean and well-maintained, and it had a full kitchenette complete with small 2-burner stovetop, small oven, microwave, mini-fridge, etc. The decor was orange bedspread with clean white sheets, no stains on the mattresses and no bed bugs. Thank God. Dark paneled furniture, tan carpet in good shape, and orange divided by green, divided by brown wallpaper in some sort of funky swirl pattern. They even had dishes and pots and pans in the cabinet. I realized this was a place that people could rent long-term if needed. Different, but pretty cool. I unpacked, and after a hot shower, I called the front desk to inquire about open restaurants in the area. I was told there was a 24-hour cafe a couple miles up the highway that had good food and great coffee, but there was no delivery service, so I'd have to go there. No problem. After getting a couple of suggestions, I called in my order and picked it up 15 minutes later, bringing it back to the room. The smell was making my mouth water, and it looked and tasted even better. I settled on chicken fried steak over homemade mashed potatoes with gravy, fried okra, field peas, and collards with cornbread on the side. I also got a little side salad with fresh tomatoes, red onions, and cucumbers tossed in Italian dressing. For dessert, I got one of the biggest and best servings of homemade blueberry cobbler I've ever eaten. Oh, and a large coffee to go. I ate like I was starving, with plenty left over for lunch the next day. So, this is when things start to get interesting. After eating, I put the leftovers in the fridge and went to brush my teeth. But my toiletries bag was not on the bathroom counter, and neither were my things. This made my skin crawl, as I remember putting all of my things away, and this includes putting my personal stuff on the counter. Okay, maybe I was more tired than I thought, so I looked for my bag and found it sitting on the floor beside the bed. I got it, pulled out my toothbrush and paste, brushed my teeth and washed my face, then off to bed. I guess I had been asleep about an hour when someone knocked on my door. It startled me, and I thought I might be dreaming when the knock happened a second time. I looked out the window, and a young woman, long blonde hair, thin, 20-ish, was standing there. I spoke through the door and asked her what she wanted. She asked if she could use my phone, and I told her no, to go to the front desk. She looked around, but never directly at me, staring at her through the window. She turned to the right and walked out of view. Now, I'm no spring chicken, but I'm no fool either. Asking to use someone's phone to gain access to a room is as old as the book it was written in. I wasn't about to open that door. I called the front desk and told the guy, turns out his name is Paul, what happened, and he paused before speaking. This was our exchange. Me. Hi. This is room 7 again. A young blonde woman just knocked on my door and asked to use my phone. I told her no and sent her to the office. Paul. Hi. You can call me by my name. It's Paul. You say a woman knocked on your door? How long ago? Me. Just now. I called you as soon as she walked away. She turned towards the office. I saw her through the window. Paul. Well, I'm outside. Standing beside my car, smoking, actually. And I haven't seen anyone outside. Look out your window and you'll see me at the office beside the Jeep. I peeked, and sure enough, there he was, taking a drag of a cigarette while on the phone. Me. Okay. That's weird. Paul. Can you tell me what she had on, and I'll keep an eye out in case she shows up again. We do have a few homeless drug addicts in the area, and they can disappear quick if turned away. They're sneaky like that. She may be one of them. I described her and remembered my toiletries bag. Me. Oh, there's one more thing. After coming back from the diner, I found one of my bags sitting beside the bed on the floor, but I had put all my things away before I left. Do you know if anyone may have come in here while I was gone? Paul. No. It'd be hard to do with having traditional keys and all. If we had those electronic locks with key cards, I would say it's possible, but the only other key to your room is here on my keyring, and that's hooked to my belt loop. I promise you I didn't go in, but I'll look at the security cameras and let you know something in the morning. Was anything missing? Me. No, nothing missing, just disturbing. Okay, well, thanks, Paul. I'm going back to bed. I'll see you in the morning. I hung up and decided it was lack of sleep getting the better of me, so I turned back in. I'm not sure what time it was when I was awakened by someone, or something, sitting on the bed. At first I thought I was sliding off the bed, but then I felt the dip in the mattress behind me, and it suddenly got cold on my backside. I felt the covers move like someone pulling up a sheet. Then a cold hand on my right hip. I froze. I literally froze. How the hell did someone get into my room? Was it Paul? Did he use his key and slip in without waking me? How did anyone get in and not wake me? I'm a light sleeper. Did that strange girl get in? I can't tell if it's male or female. What the fuck? Terror had gripped me. A cold sweat beaded on my upper lip and forehead. My heart felt like it was beating in my throat. I started shivering from the cold on my back. Then I heard it. Faintly, but I heard every word. You're warm. I like this. I eased my hand under my pillow, grabbed my 9mm Glock, screamed bloody murder, threw off the covers, jumped up, and fired 2 shots into the mattress. I then scrambled to get the lights on and nothing. No one there. Just 2 smoking black holes where I shot the bed. I looked everywhere. Under the bed. In the bathroom. Nothing. I reached for the door, and the deadbolt was still engaged. No one had entered my room. So, what the fuck was in bed with me? Pounding on the door took me out of my daze, and I opened if to find Paul standing there with a gun in his hand. I told him what happened, and he walked me to the office. A man came out of room 4 looking quite disheveled, having been rudely awakened from his sleep. Paul spoke to him and he went back into his room. Once in the office, Paul offered me a shot of whiskey, which I gladly accepted. He then told me he had something interesting to show me on the CCTV footage. He had gone through it from when I pulled in to the present time in the office. He fast-forwarded some of it, but not fast enough to lose track of the time as it rolled by. You can see me pull in, go into the office, us chatting, me checking in and going to my room. About 30 minutes later, I leave the property and come back in 17 minutes from the diner. You can see me get out of the car with the bag of food and my coffee. An hour goes by and you see Paul walk out and light a cigarette, stopping to lean on the side of his Jeep, then me pull open the curtains on my window. You can see me looking out, but there is no one at the door. No one ever approached the door. However, there was a faint little orb that floated into view, coming from down the walkway and hovering just outside my door. I could have been a bug, I don't know. But I know the timing was perfect for whatever it was. Then poof, the orb is gone, blinked out. I then move from the window and Paul pulls his cell phone from his pocket and answers. A minute later, I'm back at the window and he waves to me. Paul hangs up, goes back inside, and I close the curtains. That was when I went to bed. The footage now shows 3:17 a.m. and Paul points at the screen. The orb is back, but this time it doesn't blink out but turns and disappears into my room's door. What felt like an eternity while it was happening only took 3 minutes from start to finish. You can see 2 very faint but visible light flashes behind the curtains. That would be me firing the gun. Then Paul running out of the office with gun drawn, heading towards my room. The rest you know. My head was spinning. I didn't know what to make of what I just saw. Paul and I sat there in silence while the time ticked by, not moving, not bothering to speak. Paul got up and poured us another whiskey. I drank it as fast as the first one, reveling in the slow burn from my throat to my stomach. We sat there, staring at each other, not knowing who should speak first or what to say. Paul broke the silence. Paul, well, I'm not sure what I just saw. I've seen some crazy shit in my work in highway patrol, but I've never seen anything like that. What do you make of that little light? It could be a bug of some sort. Orb. It's called an orb. I'm not sure what to make of it. I could be a bug, but it's not the time of year for lightning bugs, but any bug flying by could catch a reflection off the lights. I just don't know. What I do know is that the orbs appear when my experiences occurred, and that's just a little too coincidental for me. Paul. I don't believe in coincidences. I know it sounds crazy, but it could be ghosts. I mean, you did say homeless people like to wander up and who knows where they sleep or what is going on in the woods. People die every day, and hauntings do happen. Oh, I don't know about that, but whatever it was strange. I'd have to experience it myself before I call it a ghost. No one has died in that room that I'm aware of, and besides, if they did, I would think someone would have reported something before now. You're the first I know of. Me? Well, whatever it was enough to spook me into shooting your mattress. Sorry about that. I'll pay for the mattress.